Hey, Jody here. Thanks for watching another video from weldingtipsandtricks.com. Let's get into it. We're doing 16 gauge stainless steel lap joints today, cleaning them up, and I'm going to use this special tool that someone sent me. I've got a homemade version of this that I'll show you later, but this is a solid copper, sort of a screwdriver hold down tool. It becomes really handy for really thin lap joints if you can't get a clamp on it. Now this is 1/16 of an inch thick, 1.6 millimeter, not terribly thin. Here's a quick reminder on how to build your own little hold down tool. Just get an old crappy screwdriver, cut it off. I've got copper braided wire wrapped around this thing for a chill to keep from melting the rubber handle. I just put some blobs of silicon bronze on there and then sand it down to kind of an angle wedge point, and it lets me hold down right next to where I'm going to get a tack. And it kind of pulls heat out of the area and helps me hold things down when I can't get a clamp on something. Super handy tool even for outside corner joints like this. So you can make one in like probably 10 minutes. I'm doing my little burst tack method here where I set the amperage a little higher than what I need and then just zap it real quick. Another way is to use this Harbor Freight welding spoon, copper welding spoon. It works great too. It also traps shielding gas. It provides a way to hold something down. This is probably the best thing I ever bought from Harbor Freight. Maybe 10 bucks or so. I've got 2 or 3 of them. No moving parts, no electric cord on it, so what can go wrong? But it is super handy. I'd use it for all kinds of things. So I've got this little joint tacked up here, and you can see the tacks are nice and small, nice and clean. I hardly discolored them even at all. So now at first, I'm going to do a little pass here with no filler metal. They call that autogenous or fuse welding. People call it all kinds of different things. The trick is to use just enough heat and just barely roll that corner in as filler metal as you move along, nice and steady, or you can move along with a little hitch in your step. You move ahead and stop, or moving back and forth kind of like this, and it kind of like lets you gauge how much foot pedal you need. Like if you move ahead and nothing moves with you, you know you need an amp or two more. All right, that's a little run with no filler metal. That little ceramic 12 cup is doing a great job of shielding, barely turned straw color even. Now we're going to do a little run with filler metal. I think it's a really good idea to use one size smaller filler wire than you would use on carbon steel when you get on stainless steel. It just lets you use less heat. The wire chills the puddle less when you dip it in there, and it's kind of a good practice. All right, let's do a hole run here. Weld the hole all of one side with filler metal. That's another little copper hold down tool that someone sent me, and I lost their email, so I can't call them out by name, but thanks whoever you are. Little solid copper third hand tool, just a handy thing for holding things down. So I'm doing a back step method here, running this in 3 short runs. Part of that is just it aids in filming. You know, rather than running out of camera view or something like that, I run 2 or 3 inches at a time, but also it really does prevent distortion from accumulating and getting out of whack. So it kind of only welding 2 or 3 inches at a run and then backing up and welding another 2, just kind of, you know, again, just it'll distort a little bit anyway, but at least it won't get out of control. All right, well that one's done, at least the 6-inch run. I'm going to demonstrate now another use for this little copper spoon thing is, you know, resting it like this right next to an edge of a weld will help sort of trap argon just a little bit longer and give you just a little bit better shielding. It doesn't really require any effort. It doesn't pull a whole lot of heat out of the joint because it doesn't really sit there in a whole lot of contact, but it does pull a little bit out. So it's worth it just to set it right next to a weld like this, and helps that discoloration. Helps less discoloration, especially when you're using a 12 cup like I'm using here. All right, let's get a look at that now. Another note is this is a number 12 cup. You can see 12 means 12/16 or 3/4 of an inch, and the rule of thumb is you can pretty much extend with a gas lens anyway. You can extend your electrode about the same diameter as your inside diameter of your cup, which is about 3/4 inch in this case. And that really helps me film, helps me when I'm welding down in a tight spot. And it's not always necessary, but it's nice to be able to do that.